Hello, and welcome to this first Q&A session where we are handling a lot of queries and questions from parents that have come in. I'm so happy that everyone was so responsive and shared their very innermost thoughts, expressed themselves. So once again, for all those who are new, who are tuning into this channel for the first time, my name is Ritika Subhash. I'm the founder of the Parent Academy, and I am the host of the Parenting Truth and Dare podcast as well. And I'm on a mission to help and empower parents, especially mothers, with the ideals of conscious parenting so that they can truly savor and enjoy a harmonious parenting journey. And they can also personally thrive as human beings, not just as moms, not just as parents, but to also have a very fulfilling life as individuals themselves. So that's the whole idea of setting up the Parent Academy. And we are a very strong community. We are a growing community of people who are consciously taking the decision to learn more about parenting and to really become better versions of themselves. So today we have a Q&A session. By Q&A, I mean that the parents who are part of the Parenting Inner Circle community, they were given this opportunity to put their questions to me, pose them to me, and then I am going to be picking one at a time and answering them for all of them. So we'll be starting with this now. And yes, while these questions are personal to some people, and which is why I'm going to keep their name anonymous, I'm sure many of you can relate to these questions and they can answer a lot of your queries as well. Yeah. So big thumbs up for all of you listening in, and keep all of these ideals in mind. These things that we're talking about, keep them in mind because they might come in handy to you. Okay, so the very first question we have from our Parenting Inner Circle member is, I want to ask that I always feel that everyone around me is working and they have house helps or nannies for their kids. I am not working and I have one daughter to take care of. Mostly, I take her everywhere. And I feel as a mother, I take pride that I take care of my daughter. But then all the nannies and maids are there, and I'm mostly the mom. So, okay. So maybe what she's referring to is when she's out, with her family or with her child for, let's say, a lunch or a party or somewhere, she sees that there are other kids being taken care by nannies, not necessarily primarily their mom. Okay, so the next part of a question is, I feel that I'm wasting my life doing nothing. Is taking care of kid and not keeping house help something wrong in today's world? I fail to understand right and wrong norms in today's society. I can't understand. And also sometimes I am not able to be this fun mom for my kid. And yeah, so yeah, basically a lot of thoughts going there. And I think many of us, even if this is not a primary thought in our mind, we've also, somewhere or the other, this thought has crossed our mind, right? What is the value of the role that we are playing? What is the value of the time and effort and energy that we are giving to our children? Is it important or can it be outsourced? Should it be outsourced? All of these thoughts are very valid. So first of all, I want to thank this member of the Parenting Inner Circle who has really opened up her heart and, very candidly shared exactly what is going on in her mind and how she feels this might be impacting her as a human being, thinking that I am wasting my life if I'm doing everything myself and not outsourcing it. So let me first tell you that taking care of your child, it is a full time and significant commitment, right? It's an important job. It is not doing nothing. So one thing that you mentioned and which might be crossing your mind is I'm doing nothing, but it's not doing nothing. It's not that. It's doing something very important. You are providing your daughter with love, with care, with stability. And this is a direct parental care, right? This child of yours who has seen you as the primary caregiver, not a nanny who's not really a family member, they've seen you as the primary caregiver. This is going to build her foundation for feeling like she belongs, for feeling that she is cared for and that she's valued. Now, I'm not saying that those children who are raised by nannies or house helps or grandparents don't have that. I'm saying that is also significant. But when the mother or the father or the immediate family is the primary caregiver, it gives a continuity to the child. See, because nanny and can change, right? House help can change. They may go somewhere, they may go onto a different job, so there'll be a new face. So this happens quite often with a house help. And those who don't have the wherewithal to be able to spend, let's say they really have financial constraints and the mother also has to work, there is no doubt about it that she would love to spend time with the child, but her financial situation or the family's financial situation does not allow it, and they're stepping out. But maybe they can employ in a little less amount, they can employ somebody to take care, and that's possible. So it is their family situation, they are doing it because it works for them. It's a, I would say, a personal choice as well, right? So there is no universal right or wrong. You mentioned that in today's society, what is the right and wrong norms? So I'm answering to that, that you have to feel right within. Okay. If you're making a parenting choice, it is you who has to feel okay with it, whether it is doing it yourself or employing a house help or getting the child enrolled in a daycare. All of this somewhere has to feel right in general. Now, yes, you may have doubts, sometimes, and you may feel that, am I doing enough? Those things will always come because parenting is such a journey where you tend to double double think your own decisions, but largely you have to be okay with the concept. So my question to you is, largely, are you okay with this concept of being the primary caregiver and giving your child this precious years of the child your prime attention? If you're largely okay with it, then you can figure out some ways to get, utilize your creativity or your personal, let's say, your potential in some ways. You can start nurturing it even from home and doing different things. But largely, you have to align with that. If it's just not sitting well with you, then it's a different thing. Then you can also look at alternatives. But again, judging somebody else on their choices without really knowing what their personal story is. Why did they employ a help? They could be doing it because they can afford it, or they could be doing it because there is no other option for them. So that's where I'm saying that if you get into this comparison trap, then it's going to be a lot of pressure for you. Okay. The other thing which I want to talk about is family values. Does spending time with your child primarily and not working outside of the house, is that a little bit that aligns with your family values and your circumstances? If it does, then be confident about it. Don't try to justify, or don't try to go against this thing that I look what they are doing, I'm doing better. Don't have this attitude that am I better off or are they better off? Like, it's natural. I understand it comes sometimes where you feel like I may be doing it in a better way and all of that. But really, the truth of the matter is, and especially as you progress in your journey, I know your daughter is pretty young, but as you progress in your journey, you will realize that everyone is fighting their own battles. Okay. Maybe those whose lives seem to be apparently very well sought out to you, maybe they're struggling in some other aspect of their life, which you don't get to see, which social media doesn't show us, right? So you may be seeing one aspect of their life and you may be feeling that everybody else is more fun, they're having more enjoyment, they have figured out how to handle the kid, whether it's through a nanny or whatever. But again, like I said, if you get into this comparison trap, it's going to be very, very hard for you. Everybody's situations, priorities, resources are very different. Okay. Now comes the next part. You mentioned that you are not being able to be a fun mom. Okay. Now, what is the definition of being a fun mom, right? For some people, it could be I take my child out to the park or to a monument every other week, or every week, for example. So for some others, it could be that I go completely berserk and dance with my child 5 minutes in the day in the morning, and we have a blast doing that. It doesn't take anything, right? It doesn't cost you anything. You put on loud music, something that you both enjoy, and you dance to that music like nobody's business, like nobody's watching. Yeah, and you thoroughly bond in that moment because that is your mama baby time. That is the time that you are really doing something together, and you don't care what the rest of the world thinks. That could be a fun mom. What is the other definition? For some, a fun mom could be somebody who goes on trips, solo trips by themselves or with their female friends. So one is, I don't exactly understand right now from this particular question as to what is your definition of fun mom. But what I can tell you is that being a mom requires you to play a lot of roles. You need to play the role of a caregiver sometimes, of a disciplinarian at other times, of a teacher at other times, of a fun, sort of a pally friend at other times. So you have to really bring all of these elements. You can't be fun all the time. If you think that that's happening with others, I don't think that's how it works. Everybody has their ebbs and flows, their ups and downs, and it's all okay. And you can't necessarily have one kind of an aura or one kind of a approach. Now, having said that, if you feel constantly that you are not being a fun mom, maybe what you really need to focus on is your own self-care. Maybe you need to prioritize the fact that you are constantly stressed and thinking and maybe even overthinking. I don't know, but these could be elements that are preventing you from being fun, right? You are always worrying more. You're always thinking, are others having more than I am in terms of, fun, or just they are better sorted out in their lives. So you have to consciously stop those thoughts, and you have to consciously be in the moment and say that I am not going to worry about what others have. I am going to respect and love and enjoy and be grateful for what I have. And the way you can do it is connect with your child in the moment. Don't do fancy elaborate plannings of we should go here or we should do this or we should achieve this. Even if it's small things, like I said, 5 minutes of connection with your child in the day through music, through dance, through art, whatever it is, that might be much, much more useful and fruitful for you. And gradually it will make you feel that, no, I am fun. I am doing all of these things. My child is connecting with me. So why should I worry excessively? Right? So parenting is about a balance. You will not have it all at the same time, at least. I heard Indra Nooyi say this sometime back, the CEO of PepsiCo, that we sometimes want to have everything right here, right now, but no, you possibly can't, right? You may be able to have everything, but not at the same time. So try and bring that balance element in your life and try and tell yourself, tell your body, your mind that I am doing enough and I am fun and I am doing these things because I prioritize my child. It doesn't matter what others are doing, but I am prioritizing my child and I am okay with it because it sits well with my values. Does that make sense? I really hope that makes sense because, again, as long as you are putting all the right actions in step, actions in order, like your own self care, your own child's the bonding with your child, even if there are some ups and downs, largely you will be okay. And I also want to tell you, my dear parenting inner circle tribe, and to this person who asked the question, that trust me, in parenting, the days are long, but the years are short, right? Even if you're feeling so stressed and overwhelmed right now, know that it is going to fly through so quickly that you will wonder, where did all those years go? How did your child grow up so fast? How did time move so fast? So even if it is long and tiring right now, hang in there. The Parenting Inner Circle community and I am there for you. The Parent Academy is there for you, and you will be able to make it through as long as you put the right efforts in place. All right, I will go to the next question now. So the next question here is, I want to know how to deal with making child learn and understand the importance before others. Okay, like my daughter is 7+. She is always behind others for friendship, and others take advantage of the same and bully her back. They blackmail her and they manipulate her, which she is okay with. And I tried making her understand all these politely and also scolding her for the same. But when her friends from the building come to call her out to play, she just forgets everything and she just wants to go with them no matter what. Okay. So understand this, that the mother feels this is what is happening on a repeat basis, that the daughter is always getting manipulated by others, but when they come and ask her to play, she doesn't remember, or she tends to forget all of this and go back to the friends. And when they misbehave with her, she comes back crying and upset, which literally hurts me a lot. So how to deal with this? How can I make her smart enough in this scenario? Okay, it's quite a relatable thing. It's something that many parents might be feeling. So I think it's important to definitely cover this as well. So I think the first thing here to think is, how can we empower our children, right, through conversations? And remember, it is not about us, it is about them. To me, the fact that a child is so resilient, like for adults, we get so hell bent, right, that if this person hurt me, I am going to hold this grudge against them for the next 2 years, right? So we are not as resilient as children, whereas children, when they fight with somebody, when they have this discord, and they're able to again go back to the playground and have that kind of fun with them, that shows somewhere that they are very resilient. Okay, so look at the positive aspect of it first. Now, having said that, I understand that you also need to teach assertiveness to the child, because there is a possibility that they may start to get more manipulative and manipulated, and they will not know where to draw boundaries, or where to be more assertive in terms of telling others that no, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. Okay, so maybe the first thing you can start off with a discussion is the discussion about what does good friendship look like. A quick exercise that you can do is, you can ask them to draw a shape of a friend, like it could be just a caricature, just a stick figure of a person, and ask them to write what are some qualities that you expect in your good friend to have. Let them write those qualities, right? Let them express that this is what I expect a good friend to be, that helpful, playful, someone I can share with. If they are too young to write, I'm not sure if I know the age of the child here, 7+, yeah. So 7+, they will be able to write, no problem. So ask them to write these little phrases so that they understand that these are the qualities of good friendship. Why? Because if they also have to be a good friend to somebody else, they need to know, right, what are the fundamentals of being a good friend? How can they show up as a good friend to other children? Yeah. So that is first. Second is, you can also, after this, coach them about what are kind of behaviors that are acceptable and not acceptable. Okay. You can use example from books. So when you read a book with them, you can ask them, what do you think this child must be feeling? In fact, one of my the first books that I ever published was titled Let's Talk About My Feelings. It was a book about exactly this, that there were 12 different scenarios, and after every scenario, the child was asked, what would you do if you were the character, or how do you think this character felt? So start having these conversations so that they open up a little bit more about themselves, because right now you are assuming something is happening, but you don't know what is going on in their mind. What is it that is really happening on those playgrounds? How are they feeling manipulated? Why are they going back to the friends? You need to understand and dig a little deeper, because right now this is all surface level information that you have. So having these conversations will encourage them to express themselves more to you. That is second thing. So first thing, ask them to write the qualities of a good friend. Second is, talk about these acceptable and unacceptable behaviors, which you can do through stories and books. A 7+-year-old child would really like books. And I, even at my age, I really love picture books. I'm a total picture book fan. So don't go for chapter books, go for something simple like a picture book, and then start discussing the feelings of the character. Now, role playing is an important one, right? If you can role play and you can say, let's say the girl's name is Ria. And as a mother, you can say, okay, today I am Ria, and you become the children that you play with, or some particular person, if they are being unfair to her, make Ria that person, right? Do this different kind of role play and try to see how they feel when they are being treated fairly, unfairly, all of that. And that will also give her some confidence. It will be like a test run for her to see, okay, I can answer like this also, I can speak this also. So gradually you teach assertiveness to the child, but assertive in a respectful way, not assertive in a way that they are blasting out, but maybe saying things like, I don't like it when you say this or when you behave this way to me, or I feel very unhappy when you try, or sad when you treat me this way. I know that you can do better. So things like this, it's not easy. And especially for a 7-year-old to be able to verbalize this well, it will take time and practice. But teaching assertiveness in the longer run will be very beneficial to the child. Encouraging diverse friendships. Okay. So let's say this particular group you are not very convinced with, even after trying all of this. You feel you've done enough to build your child's emotional intelligence. You've, basically done all that you could. If you still feel that this group is not working out for her, then you need to help her broaden her social circle also. Okay. Help them to make new friends in different settings. Maybe if they're going to a hobby class or extracurricular activity, or a different park or something like that, where they can bond with somebody else. Another thing when I read this question which came to my mind is, how can you get your child to feel a little more higher self-esteem for herself? The fact that she is not able to stand up for herself, and every now and then, the good part is that she's resilient, she doesn't hold grudges, so I would say that's the good part. But the other side of the coin could be that she doesn't have the kind of self-esteem to take a stand for herself. So how can you build self-esteem? You can engage her in activities that she can succeed in. Now that you'll have to figure it out. This is a trial and error thing. She could succeed in basketball, in football, in arts, in debating, in drumming, dancing. I don't know. You'll have to do a trial and error. You'll have to get her enrolled in some classes. Be ready that she might give up those classes after 1 month. And slowly you will find something that gives her a high amount of self esteem and that she's able to stick with that activity. So yes, that is, I think, in general, most of my recommendation for you, my dear parenting inner circle parent and my tribe. Thank you for asking this question. I would move on to the next one now. Okay, the next question is very simple. How to say no? And that's it. That's the only question. How to say no? So I think my interpretation is that this parent wants to know, how can I say no to my child, like for whatever thing it is. If that's how I understand this question. Now, again, depending on what you have to say no for, there are different problems, right? Some of us struggle with the issue that how can we say yes, because we say so much no. We say don't do this, no, you're not supposed to be doing it right now, or you're not supposed to speak like that, no, 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 no. So majority of us, or I would say not majority, let's say half of us struggle with the how to say yes problem, because we are such no sayers. And this person could be probably in the second half, which is how to say no, because you feel like if you say no, then the other child may be becoming too distressed, and it's hard for them to overcome their emotions. They absolutely lose it when they hear the word no. So I'm assuming that's the kind of situation. Now, let's say if it is something which is very important to you, and as your family values, if you define your family values, then this is an important thing that you cannot allow the child to do. Let's say it's about eating a certain kind of food, and you know that you do not bring junk to your home, and the child is constantly asking for it. The first thing is, I would say, set the right family values, right? This discussion of family values needs to happen in a lot of families, which we tend to brush under the carpet. What are the family values that we have? Have you ever had, my question to all the listeners is, have you ever had this discussion with your child, with your spouse? What are some basic family values? Like, this is the kind of discussion that I've had with my son off and on, not very formally, but I feel, I tell him that being fit is our family value. There is no alternate to being fit. Like, um, you cannot undermine the importance of being fit. And not all the time, of course, we also watch TV, we do all of those things, but the underlying value of giving fitness its due importance is our family value. Once you've communicated that, then you can be a little clear and firm and say that, okay, I don't need to say no, like with my face all changing and all. I can clearly say that this does not align with our family values. We've had outside food for 2 days in this week. It's against our family value, yet we did this because of this reason. But the third time, we are not going to do that because it is against our family values. So if you give too much explanation, if you are always giving lengthy explanations, then the child is going to get very confused. So be concise, but say that we are not doing this. For example, it's about buying some kind of toy. Okay. So tell them that today we are not going to be buying this toy, or, today, let's say we are not going to watch another episode because we are done. Like, this is it. So if the things are communicated well to the child, you need not worry that their feelings are going to get hurt, and they will handle it, right? Like, give them the opportunity to handle their emotions. Don't always go in and try to handle it for them. So that is, I think, one big thing, being clear and firm about why you are saying. Also, if you're enforcing some boundaries, the more consistent that you stay with them, and I have personally felt this is a big challenge. To stay constantly consistent with all the different boundaries that we have is very hard, and I don't expect any of you to do it, because that will give you an added stress that now I have to do this also. Don't worry about that. But if you can follow some amount of consistency, and if you say no to something, then just try and stick with it. Like, don't be wavering here and there. You If you change your mind too frequently, basically the child will feel that there are mixed signals, right? That my parent doesn't really value this so much. Again, it comes down to the values. If you value something a lot, then you'll be able to stay consistent. And if you don't value it, then you will be wavering. Okay, offering alternatives is another one that I thought. That, let's say you're saying no to something. No, today we cannot do this, but if you wish, we can do this. This is well within our reach, and let's do this. Example, like I was saying, if the child is insisting for a toy, you can say, no, we can't get that toy today. We've already exhausted our quota of, let's say, the toy budget, but let's play a game together. That's something we can do. Not a problem. When we get home, we'll be able to play that. So get them to think and pin their attention to something else rather than fixate on what they can't get. So the no should not become so defining that the conversation is ended after that. The conversation and the open communication should be open even after that. And of course, if you avoid physical aggression while saying no to something, of course, verbal aggression and physical aggression, these are very important things. So coach yourself to say no in a respectful tone rather than always yelling. Big, hard one, I tell you, it's not easy to do, but the more that you practice it, the better you'll get. You will be able to say no in your lower voice rather than saying no. And slowly that will set the pace for a more calm and respectful dialogue between the two of you. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. It was a very short and sweet question, how to say no. Also, I would like to end that by saying that, children are great imitators. They imitate like anything. So we have to give them something great to imitate. If they are such great imitators, we need to give them something great to imitate. And that is where our communication, how we set boundaries, how we say no, is going to help them become more resilient, and also ask for their boundaries in a respectful way as well when they grow up, right? Okay, moving on to the next question. We live in a nuclear family, and my mom visits us on and off. But lately, my daughter is missing her a lot. Oh, and always looks for her in the house. My mom can't come back. It adds emotional pressure onto me and my child. There is no one who can fill this void. I don't know how to deal with her emotional needs as she only gets to see both of us, me and my husband. I'm not able to get any other support in the form of house help or nanny at this moment. I feel emotionally drained, and at times it shows up in my behavior towards my 2.5-year-old daughter. Please guide. Yes, thank you for pouring your heart out there. Not easy to write all of this, but you went ahead and shared. It really shows the amount of trust that you place in me, and I'm utterly grateful for that. Utterly and eternally grateful for that. Um, yes, it takes a village to raise a child. I totally believe that, and the amount of um, love and warmth that most grandparents bring to parenting is truly irreplaceable. So when you use the word that nobody can fill this void, it really hit home. I felt it within, because I really feel that yeah, this relationship is special, right? So it's definitely something that I feel can really make you very upset, because your mom also, I don't think, can be with you for that long, and you can't keep a house up, so it's confusing. um One of the best things in this scenario is to keep that connection maintained between the child and the grandparent. Okay, first of all, communicate to the grandparent how much the child loves her, because let the grandparent know, let the grandma know that she is so loved and she's so dearly missed when she leaves. Because sometimes we don't even communicate all of this, right? So I don't know if you're doing this already or not, but do communicate to the grandma that you are dearly missed. And whenever and if your situation allows, do come and visit, and we enjoy that, and we totally look forward to it. So definitely do that. It's definitely easy to maintain connection in today's day and age. You can do regular video calls, phone calls. Yes, since your child is 2.5, you would want to keep the screen access to the minimum. So even if it's calls with the grandparent, be mindful that there should be some limits around how much you are showing screen to the child with the video calls. But I'm sure you can manage that. Even seeing or hearing your grandmother's voice can maybe bring some peace to your child. So one idea that came to my mind is, if your mother is a little tech savvy, you can ask her to record on WhatsApp. Also, there's a feature to do a voice recording. So you can ask the grandma to do a little bit of voice recording, send some stories, some poems, something in her voice, and you'll see the child's eyes will light up. Maybe she'll start looking forward to daily voice messages from Nani. So technology has made it so much easier for us, right? That we can have that connection with our loved ones, even if they are far away. uh what else? Maybe do some special things together. You can make a grandma and me book with your child. So have some old pictures, cut them out, stick them, because a 2.5-year-old child they will not have a lot of dexterity in terms of their fine motor skills. But maybe pasting pictures you can help them with, or you can cut and they can paste and do something like that. Or do it just making them sit next to you and you do it. So if she misses, then make this her way of coping with that she's seeing grandma but through pictures. The other thing which you can do to build a long term bond with them, and I'm very old school, right? You can always use email for this, so don't laugh at my suggestion, but my suggestion is, if your child makes something, like they made a craft, of course by 2.5 they may not, but another year or two or something like that, they'll be able to do some craft and art. Just simply put it in an envelope and post it to your mother. Now, why am I saying post it? You can even click a picture and within a second you can send it on WhatsApp. That's also possible, like I said. But sometimes being old school, especially with our older generation, because they're used to it, can also bring a lot of joy in their heart. And you can then ask your mother also to post something. If she's into some kind of art and craft, then she can post pack it and send it for your daughter. So make this like this, you can create this camaraderie between the two, where there is this mail going back and forth. So those are important. But here now I want to take a pause and come to you. You mentioned that you can't have a house help, which means that you are probably taking a bulk of the parenting load as well. So address your own needs as well. What are your emotional health needs? What are your physical health needs? If you are feeling drained, how are you addressing that? So how are you filling your own petrol tank so that you can run on that fuel? So give yourself breaks, give yourself allowance to feel all these overwhelming emotions. I understand when your child is at 2.5 3 years of age, it's a lot of things going in your mind, I'm sure, about your child's future, about your own future, how you will manage, how your life will pan out. All of this is there, and this is where the parenting inner circle and the parent academy and I come into play, right? You can always seek assistance from us. You can always write to me. I'm connected to all of you. I send messages and post on the group every single day almost. Even the podcasts that I record are going to be hugely helpful to you. So if you have not yet started listening to the podcast, the Parenting Truth and Dare podcast, it's on Spotify. You all know the link to it. I don't need to share it. I'll share the link again, but it's something that will give you a lot of virtual support in your parenting journey. So definitely do that as well. Okay, let's take one last question. Okay. My daughter forgets the good things and repeats the mistakes again and again. How can I overcome this situation? What I don't understand is the age of the child here, and forgets good things, repeats mistake again and again. I'm assuming the child is fairly young, especially in the pre-teen age. I'm thinking between 0 to 12. Okay, so um, like I said, based on their age, you have to become aware of the fact that children at different stages of their life, their brain is growing, right? It's continuously growing. Their executive decision making capability and functionality grows all the way up till age 25. So if we have children who are, let's say, half that age, 11, 12, we expect them to make good decisions. We expect them to remember things. But their brain is not evolved enough, and many times that it could be that their brain has limited memory at that time because their synapses are growing, their memory connections are growing, their everything is growing, and it's not like it's fully developed. Even we as adults, with our so-called fully developed brain, we tend to forget and we tend to lose our control, and we tend to uh, become repeat our mistakes. So constantly to think that the child should be able to do this is where our disconnect is happening. This is where even in my course, in the Art and Science of Peaceful Parenting course, I specifically have specific chapters that cover child developmental milestones. How is a child's brain growing at every age and stage of life? How is a child physically developing at every age and stage of life? How is a child spiritually developing at every age and stage of life? Why is this important to understand? So that we have realistic expectations from our children. If we have unrealistic expectations that they should remember, we should not have to repeat, we should not have to tell them again and again. I've told them 1,000 times to put their socks in the place or the bag at the right place, but they don't. Yes, it is annoying. I agree with you. It is very annoying. And it sort of makes you feel like your head will blow off because you just told them this 15 minutes ago or yesterday and they still again forgot and they did the same thing. But the part of the answer to this is that their normal development takes time. So we need to adjust our expectations accordingly. When we adjust our expectations accordingly, when we become more empathetic to them, we'll be able to give them consistent reminders, but without being disrespectful or without yelling or shouting. We can always just use fewer words rather than saying lengthy sentences, say fewer words so that your child gets reminded of what is the expected behavior. The more patience you can build at this stage, the more benefits you'll reap later. I always say that children will grow up any which way, right? It's not like if you don't do these conscious parenting sessions, or if you don't invest in your own learning, your child is not going to grow up. Nature is going to take its course. But the input that you give to today is going to have significant, amplified output tomorrow. Now, you cannot see that tomorrow right now. That is in the distant future. But you need to sow the seeds for that right now. And when you sow the seeds right now through proper communication with your child, giving them consistent reminders that are not disrespectful or that is not too lengthy, but they tell them with firmness that this needs to be done. I need to remind you. And it'll be good if you can make a habit of it. And you can make a habit in different ways. You can ask them to make like some chart or some drawing which reminds them that I have to do this if they forget too much, and that making it pictorial and fun for them will be more enjoyable for them. But yeah, your inputs today are going to reap benefits manifold in the future. So hang in there. Okay. The other thing you can do is positive reinforcement. What is positive reinforcement? If you see that your child has followed through something without you having to remind them, even if it is for one day, notice it. Notice it and recognize it and appreciate it. Let them feel that, yes, my mother noticed that she did not have to remind me. My good behavior actually got some motivation. So you can praise their effort that, yes, I'm so happy you did this, you tried this, and I'm glad that you are giving this an effort. So you don't have to give them a toffee or a chocolate or something like that. Just your words and your genuine smile and your genuine recognition of them is enough. Okay. Again, I answered this for a previous question also, but sometimes role playing in this can also impact. So one day just switch the roles. No, today tell your child to become, if they are, I would say at least 6-7 years old, you can tell them to become mama for an hour, and you can become that child and try to act the way that your child acts, and then ask the child to act in a way that she thinks that mama should act, or maybe she can even act in the way that you currently act, whatever. But do this role play, this role switching of you becoming the child and they becoming the parent. And maybe this will switch something, right? Um, so these are some ideas I feel which really help in the long run. It takes time, it takes effort. But see, I can tell you something, and this is applicable to all parents, whether these questions were given by you or not. The truth of the matter is that no amount of guilt can ever change the past, and no amount of anxiety can ever change the future. I'll say it again. No amount of guilt will change the past, and no amount of anxiety will change the future. So even though we are in this anxious state that what will happen to my child, they don't listen, they forget, they don't, you have to repeat everything, they're not organized, disorganized. Keep consistently doing small steps, taking small steps. That I keep coming back to this, the most famous line in Gita, right? That um, कर्म करो हल्की इच्छा नहीं करो, which translates to focus on effort, not the fruits or the outcome. They will come. Another very interesting quote that I like is that your roots determine your fruits. Since we are talking about fruits, I'll also say this quote, which is one of my favorite, that your roots determine your fruits. If your roots are strong, if your children have the right foundations, if they've seen you putting in effort in the right direction, and you who have invested your time and energy in learning and becoming a better version of yourself, that is the best way to model self-awareness. That's the best way to model lifelong learning. Nothing better than that. You don't need to enroll your child in any extra class on learning good behavior, this, that. You are the best teacher. They will follow what you do. They will imitate. I said this right, that our children are great imitators. We need to give them something great to imitate. That is what it is. And they will follow you. It just goes in the DNA of the family. And I also remind myself this, that whenever I am acting out of line, I remind myself that this is what I'm showing him, my child, as a picture of who one person should be. And if it is not a behavior that I myself stand by, then I have to correct, right? Because this is how I'm modeling behavior to the child. So my behavior has to be regulated. I'm not saying that it has to be the best and the most, sought out. No, it needs to be consistently, I need to be working at it to balance it. So don't put this added pressure on you to be the best at every moment. Recognize that even if you are making a mistake, I can own up to that mistake to myself and to my child. I can tell my child that, yeah, I've not been acting in the best possible way, and I'll do better, and I'm doing better. That itself will build more and more trust on the child's behalf for you, and that's what we are looking at. So here is where I will end the Q&A session. It was wonderful to really get all of these queries and to answer it for you. I will be sharing this link with all of those who could not be part of the session, because I feel there is just so much that we can learn from each other's journey. We will all go through these thoughts in some form or the other, or we will know people who are going through these thoughts. So yeah, I think being mindful of that and spending this little bit of time in improving ourselves as human beings, as people, will reap us huge benefits in the future. Once again, thanks a lot and enjoy the day.